Greetings to whoever goes there. My name is Timothy Halloran, and I'm one of many strange and complex creatures known as the human being, born out of the earth, connected to the seasons and cycles of the earth. In these videos, we talk about the nature of the times, and today is Tuesday, February 12th, 2019. It is a potent time to be alive. I dare say the times are dense, they are rich, they are complex. There is a lot of feelings that we can be having at this time that may not all be comfortable, that may not all be known. There are many layers to the onion. It is a rich, complex, and therefore a slightly murky time. And I dare say it is therefore a little challenging to articulate, to find words, to express the feeling and the meaning of these days. So to begin there, Mercury, the planet of our mind, of communication, has just entered the sign of Pisces this last couple days on Sunday the 10th and is going to remain there for approximately a month to come. When Mercury is in the sign of Pisces, our mind, our thinking, our communication can be a little bit more murky, a little bit more nebulous, a little bit more enigmatic. At the same time, Mercury in Pisces is more connected to our inner vision. We can really tune into our imagination. We can tune into our bigger long-term goals, those ideals, those dreams that are beckoning us into the future. And yet the actual expression and communication of such ideas and goals, like we said, can be a little bit more challenging at this time. This week, Mercury is simultaneously squaring the asteroids Juno and the asteroid Ceres. And this can make this communication, particularly of how we're feeling, a little bit more difficult. It is, I would say, a practice to communicate what we need in order to feel safe, in order to feel understood, in order to form relationships and bonds with other people that can be practical, that can actually work, may require a little bit of trial and error at this time. And we'll come back to Venus, who is joining with Saturn and then Pluto later this week, which can also be a significant time of focusing and shaping not just who we're connecting with, but how we are doing relationship, who and how we are connecting with others. Now, in this regard, this period is also very charged with an electrical type of restlessness. And this is due largely to Mars, the planet of our body, our physical energy, our willpower, and sense of direction, has just come up, actually is joining Uranus tomorrow, Wednesday, February 13th. And this Mars-Uranus conjunction is very instinctual. I would say even instinctually rebellious. And we do have to watch this instinctually reactive and even rebellious part of ourselves to simultaneously acknowledge where this reaction is coming from and to bring a spotlight to that dynamic. This can be a time of liberating ourselves, and the very strong signature, the key of this Mars-Uranus conjunction happening just at the end of Aries, 29 degrees Aries. We need to be our own unique individual. This is a period of individualization. This is a time of finding our own way of doing things, our own direction, and going our own way. Not necessarily waiting for the green light or waiting for permission, but honoring and acknowledging our own unique body, our own individual direction, and our independent desires. Mars rules our conscious desires, the leading edge of desires that is initiating our experience of life in many respects. And with Uranus, it's almost as much as our own unique desires, our own independence has been suppressed, has been limited. Well, Uranus certainly brings an awareness to that suppression of limitation, that dynamic of suppression, I mean. And it's almost like a loaded spring dynamic. As much as we've felt imprisoned or limited or shoved in a corner, that loaded spring wants to lift off. These reactions and instinctual outbursts can be coming from the part of ourself that desires more freedom, more expression, more spaciousness to find its own pace and go to the beat of its own drum. And we do again need to honor that part of ourself and the freedom needs that we can be initiating for ourselves. But of course, we also need to be patient enough to keep our head on our shoulders, to be realistic, to be practical, and to find the solutions that can actually function with other people, our world, our own needs, in a way that can be harmonious with others and practically integrated in our life. Now, this Thursday, Mars is going to move into Taurus, where he will remain up through March 31st. And so this next couple months, when Mars is in Taurus, we can really find that rhythm that honors our own unique pace, our own unique way of doing things, that honors our own personal values. What it is that we like, what it is that fills us up, what gives us that sense of purpose and meaning that makes us feel good. Mars in Taurus can really put its head down and bust some stuff out. Really get the ball going, really focus. But with Mars in Taurus, it's, I do what I want to do because that's what I want to do. That's just how I like to do things. And there is this need to honor, again, our way and our pace of doing things so we can lay a foundation that truly works. And the good news is Mars in Taurus is more grounded, is more practical, step by step. And so this excitement, this need to liberate ourselves, this need to go our own direction, there may be this instinctual reactivity, this honoring of who we are and where we need to go, and kind of finding that pace and that rhythm that can work particularly for us and what we need to do this next coming 2 months. Now, Mars is also squaring the moon's nodes this week. And so again, this means that we need to individuate. We need to create change in our life. Do not put yourself on the back burner. Do not self-sacrifice your direction. Do not suppress your desires. Do not suppress your unique eccentric self, no matter how freakishly eccentric or strange you are. Let your freak flag fly and integrate that uniqueness of your human being, of your animal being, of who you are on all of your dimensions. Mars is our physical, sexual desires, and this too is a part of ourself that is a part of our total individuality, our bodies, our uniqueness, and is also a part that needs to be integrated with the rest of our life. So again, a lot of instinctual, rebellious, restless, let's go forward, let's break out of the old, I'm tired of prison, I'm tired of the old. And there's this opportunity for the rocket ship to go off, but we can't just simply rocket ship away from other people, the rest of the world, our relationships, and sometimes that Mars-Uranus can be so instinctual, we find ourselves leaving our past and halfway moved across the country before we know what hit us. So we do need to slow down, we need to be patient, and we need to balance this freedom and individualization with the creative, the collaborative projects that are going out there with others in the world, because that's what's so integral and so needed for our whole species at this time. Nobody can go it alone. So Mars is forming an opposition to asteroid Pallas Athena, also Wednesday the 13th, and then Pallas Athena forms an opposition to Uranus the following Wednesday, February 20th. There is this theme of integrating Pallas Athena, the goddess of wisdom and creativity and justice, with that willpower, that warrior, that individual that is Mars. And Pallas Athena is a great example of this balance and harmony of warrior. She's got her helmet, her shield, her spear, and wisdom. And that wisdom tends to fight for justice, equality, the outspoken, the downtrodden. That's the unification of this Mars Pallas together. We need to align action and justice, creative impulse, with the higher intuitive nature of Uranus, the higher mind. In this regard, this can be a very creative time of forming relationships that honors what we need in the world, where we find ourselves today, and the justice and equality that we need to fight for. With this Mars-Uranus conjunction, change needs to happen. There are freedom urges that are going on, and even if we don't know what changes need to be made, this is the time to experiment and learn through the trial and error of initiating change anyways. One of my favorite quotes coming from the great hypnotist Milton Erickson is, "Change tends to lead to insight more than insight leads to change." So this Mars-Uranus is about the creation of healthy environments to experiment and test out various patterns that we can be changing, which can lead to new discoveries, insights, and the formation of a new direction being found. I do apologize if my camera is whiting out or doing something strange. I tend to come out here to the woods and then new problems on my camera I've never seen start to happen. So we're just rolling with it in the Mercury Pisces type of fashion. Speaking of Pisces, the Sun enters the sign of Pisces next Monday, February 18th, the same day Chiron enters Aries. And then the following day, Tuesday the 19th, at approximately 11 a.m. Eastern Time, we have a full moon at the 1st degree of Virgo, quincunx to Chiron, just entering Aries, and trine to Mars and Uranus. Okay, now Virgo, the quincunx aspect, 150 degrees, Chiron, they all have a similar archetype of healing, of adjustment, and sometimes this healing / adjustment can also bring up the theme of crisis or a theme of dealing with imperfection. Yes, these are not the weeks in which we may be feeling or witnessing that perfectly ideal, dream-like world. And so this is the time to talk about Chiron. This is a Chiron full moon. This is a Chiron month. And this Chiron completing the transit of Pisces is completing this period that has gone on since 2011. Chiron heals whatever sign he is going through. This next week, as Chiron completes its transit of Pisces, this whole last period and the themes within it are dialed up. There is a culmination before shifting into the sign of Aries. There's a building up of this Chiron Pisces theme, the themes of which include any experience of feeling lost or spiritual confusion or spiritual woundedness, a feeling or a sensation of purposelessness, that life and the universe has lost its flavor, that there is no meaning of life, feeling simply like a leaf blown around in the winds of the world and the chaos and the confusion that is around us. Any themes or patterns around victimization, the loss of power or control, feeling no sense of control, no sense of purpose or meaning or significance, is the crisis that Chiron in Pisces can heighten and illuminate, which is connected to the healing and the cathartic releasing that's going on. When it comes to Chiron, I always like to think that these negative experiences and feelings is in fact what's being bled out of us right now. And I do like that symbol, that analogy for Chiron, like how they used to do healing in the medieval ages by attaching leeches onto a person that allowed this bloodletting, getting it drained out of us, okay? So Chiron's like when we go to a cheap restaurant and get food poisoning and purge the toxins into the toilet. Not necessarily fun or enjoyable, but serving a purpose that is practical and noble, eliminating toxins from our system, okay? So the feelings that we're feeling, the strange loss, the victimization, the feeling of purposelessness is actually the same exact dynamic that can connect us with more of a sense of purpose, more of a sense of meaning by being connected to something bigger than ourself in the world. And this is one of the key words for Virgo, is our role, our work, our service. And the wounds, the uncomfort coming from inside of ourselves, other people, and the world is what is catalyzing us finding alignment with these roles and these services that function the best. Now, this year, Jupiter is square to Neptune, which is this year-long transit that also has a theme of spiritual disillusionment. Not totally knowing the bigger picture, in fact, challenging our knowledge of the bigger picture. And you know what? I gotta say, it is a healthy year for a spiritual disillusionment, for a spiritual crisis, because this is how we actually learn, expand, and grow our philosophy and perspective of life to be open to more than what we already know or the prior conceptual framework that we use to form our reality. More than likely, it wasn't totally 100% correct because nobody knows everything. Nobody sees from God's perspective where you're seeing and being all places at once. That's what I mean by being God, by the way. And so there is this looking into what is the purpose of my spiritual path? What is spirituality? What is goodness? What is this connecting to something bigger than ourselves? And how can we find that sense of purpose, meaning, expanse, and that sense that there is a guiding hand in life? What is that guiding hand, and how do we connect to it? I've even heard from quite a few people that there are those going through this spiritual searching and developing through a disillusionment with astrology or astrologers or the astrological community. And sincerely, whenever I hear this, it is music to my ears. Wonderful! Don't be certain about astrology. Don't just believe the words coming out of somebody else's mouth. Feel doubtful, feel confused. It is such a healthy and integral part of our own spiritual evolution. Disillusionment is followed by enlightenment. We must allow ourselves to go through spiritual disillusionment, to have our faith tested, to be open and honest about that, not to beat ourselves up that we're just supposed to believe and accept everything the way it is. I can't think of a more thoroughly unhealthy perspective or belief to possess. And so if you're uncertain right now, good. You're a healthy human being, and there's more that can be found. There are hidden blessings in that endeavor of being confused, uncertain, and not knowing our truth, our philosophy, what spirituality is expanding. And yet we want to function, we want to be in the world, and we want to be useful for both ourselves and others. So to kind of simplify our spiritual purpose, these various paths and practices and philosophies and tools, here is this Virgo wisdom for this full moon in Virgo. All of spirituality, astrology, Reiki, healing. What is it in Virgo? The service of. It is in the service of helping and healing others. And so where we are dreaming or believing or having all of these superficially imposed moral constructs, what's good, what's bad, what's deceptive, cults, shadow governments, invisible entities, whatever. Let it go if it's not practically useful to you. That's common sense, right? And in terms of how can we help other people, what actually works? What functions, what benefits, what has the proof, what has the results. The proof is in the pudding. Virgo is about work. Some keywords for Virgo is apprenticeship, focus, polishing. Yes, this highly chironic time is a polishing. We're polishing the mirror, the reflection of ourselves, our vision of the world, the best that we can be. It is a work. It does involve some sweating. It does involve some, elbow grease, and it does pay off. It is a purification which is happening these weeks, this month. We are letting go of what no longer serves us, what no longer functions or has the inherent worth and usefulness that it may have used to, or we may have thought that it used to. And we are honing in on, we're focusing on the procedures, the functions, the teachers, the teachings, the understanding that actually works in the body. It's not biased. It's not limited for a type of person or a type of belief or a type of this or that. It works for people. It works for humans. It works for us. With Virgo, this reductionist and focusing on what works is just one baby step after the next, what can bring everything together. And what Jeffrey Wolf Green, the founder of evolutionary astrology, wrote about Virgo is the caterpillar. If we overthink too much, that caterpillar is going to trip over itself. It's just one foot after the next. What's simple, what is oftentimes very, very reduced can work the best, can allow for that focus that gives us a realistic perspective and orientation to life. And really, this is the purpose of the human being. Really, this is the evolution of the human being, is to find our uniqueness, do that Mars-Uranus, liberate yourself, be the wild, eccentric, totally different from every other human being that you are, that you were created to be. It goes hand in hand with your gifts, with your service that you can offer back to other people that will give you that sense of meaning and connection to something bigger than just yourself. That is actually the most fulfilling thing in the universe. It is alignment with our personal service that honors who we are as individuals and allows us to give back to and feel connected to the collective and the whole. Okay, and this takes us full circle back to our relationship with others. So Venus, the planet of our values, what we love and cherish in our heart, and how we are connecting and sharing those values with others in relationships, is coming up to Saturn next Monday the 18th, joining Pluto Friday the 22nd, and then we'll pass the moon's south node February 26th. Well, Venus and Saturn coming together this week, there is a huge focus on relationships, the people that we're interacting with. And it is a time to take these relationships seriously, or to take our own relationship dynamic seriously. For example, the currently existing relationship dynamic may be, I feel lonely. I feel disconnected. I don't feel like I am connecting with the group that really shares my values. Yeah, Venus with Saturn, all this Chiron stuff can bring up loneliness, isolation issues. But really this focusing, even the scrutinizing of how we're relating to others can stress the importance of relationships at this time. So to initiate necessary changes, to connect and share what we do value with those of like mind. So Venus coming up to Pluto this week, it is changing the foundations of our relationship. This Saturn-Pluto conjunction going on all of this year is societal deconditioning unplugging the cords, the outlets from the TVs, the computers, all of the facts, information, conditioning that we received in early childhood. What is a successful relationship? What we should be doing for our job. We are finding what we need to honor our value, our work in the world. And this is a time of doing work. We can form new groups this month that are aligning with our vision, that are doing the necessary work, that wonderful Virgo healing and service. This is the golden opportunity to structure these things into our relationships and to create a centerpiece that regards these things as important in our relationships. In this endeavor, we're changing how we relate to authorities, these structures, these old patriarchal influences. A part of this deconditioning is recognizing where and how we all have daddy issues. These daddy issues out there in the world, how this affects the world at large, how we're addressing these things in our life. And this all happening on the Moon's South Node can definitely be a revisitation of the past. There may be old friends, old relationships, old themes that are resurfacing in order to see these past themes, where there may be any patterns of limitation or oppression or kind of sacrificing the value systems that are more the world's values than our own. We can really be looking at these dynamics. So to do this necessary unplugging and form the relationships that are healthy, that aren't wasting any time or misusing any energy, Virgo is what functions the best, what truly works in our relationship, what works the best, what makes us feel healthiest in our body, in our exchanges, what is important. That's the bullseye of our role. What functions the best, what helps ourselves and others the most. That's the bullseye, that's the opportunity. And keeping ourselves single focused on that practical functioning can allow us to strip away and remove any of the distractions and form these foundations that honor our interactions and sharing in a way that can both benefit ourselves and others. And so, my goodness, I'm wishing the best for you. This is such a potent time of healing, of upliftment. And I have several important announcements in the same endeavor of healing and connecting with others for some important reasons. First of all, I am doing a raffle for my good friend Megan. Megan suffers from EDS, a degenerative disorder. She is in a lot of physical pain, she can barely function, and she has gotten no help, gets no government provision, very little assistance from her family or other people. She is essentially having to raise money in order to survive. Go to my raffle, $10 per ticket. You can win a free astrology reading, free workshops, membership to my Patreon community. So if you're interested in any of the above, sign up for my raffle and you will simultaneously be supporting my friend Megan as well as those suffering from EDS. Also, to any women out there, my partner, Mackenzie, is an amazingly talented healer, a very Virgonian soul herself. She is doing a retreat coming up in April, the 26th to the 28th, for women, particularly those working on their bodies or health or body image. This retreat will include gentle movement, yoga, guided meditations, tantra, spiritual practices for self-connection, ecstatic dance, Reiki, ceremony. Goddess sessions is an incredible healing Virgo practice my partner does where she takes photographs. She's an amazingly talented photographer that has the function, the purpose of healing and accepting the body for what it is and being in the power of being a woman. And so if you are interested in embodying your femininity as a woman, check the link out below for this embodiment retreat. This retreat's going to be in North Georgia, just a short trip from Atlanta or Asheville, North Carolina. and is again a body positive space. So please feel free to email me, keep in touch, leave a comment with any of your own personal experiences, any questions that you have going on my end, or these activities, these opportunities coming up around the corner. So much healing, so much love, so much forward movement. Keep your chin up. We're tapping down to the bottom of the barrel, which is a good thing. In many respects, we're going up from here. So again, wishing you all the best, and please do take care.